Are you thinking about renting your home out furnished? Here's some things that you need to hear before you do. In this video, I'm going to break down the pros and the cons of renting out furnished rentals. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the strategy if furnished rentals is something that you want to do. In this video, you'll walk away with what the advantages actually are of a furnished rental, what the limitations are, why furnished rentals are harder than most people think they are, and the strategic mistake that kills all furnished rental units. Let's dive in. So, the pros. There are pros, just don't overestimate them. So, you don't have storage costs of stuff if you have stuff. Um, you can charge more for rent sometimes. Don't bank on it though, unless that is your primary strategy. And then the bottom line is that the pros exist, but they're just not as strong as people think they are. And we'll dive into that at the very last slide. Furnished rentals actually come with some hidden costs. So, one is everything gets inventoried. You got people coming in and out all the time, right? Much more frequently. Hopefully, you can get a year tenant, but sometimes it might be 6 months or 4 months or 3 months. And every time you have a turnover, that move in, move out inspection becomes an inventory of plates, knives, forks, appliances, furniture, etc. Think about like Airbnb management, right? There's just a lot more stuff that has to be done. So your operational costs are going to be higher. More stuff also equals more maintenance. Furniture is going to break. Appliances are going to wear out. Your maintenance costs are going to go up. And if you want to do furnished rentals, you can, if the strategy you're using is in line with that. You just have to know what your real costs are and account for that when you look at this property as an investment in a rental opportunity. It's also harder to find long-term tenants. Most long-term renters have their own furniture. So if you have furniture and they have furniture, then they're not looking for your place. There are some people that need and want furnished rentals. It's just there's just less of them than there are people looking for long-term vacant rentals without stuff. Um, the types of people, or I'd say like your target market for furnished rentals, are going to be traveling nurses, um, insurance companies actually that have clients that have their house that had burnt down or something. We've partnered and found some of those for people over the years. A big hidden cost that a lot of people don't think about in relation to furnished rentals is vacancy. And you just really got to know your system and know how you want to rent something out to plan for that vacancy properly. Because if you want to do a furnished rental, you also want to do long term and appeal to people that don't have furniture. Vacancy is really going to eat into your returns. A real world example happened a couple years ago because Airbnb was really hot. So people would come to us with furnished rentals and say, "Hey, can you find me a long-term tenant?" And for some, we did and we could. Um, this one particular client had a furnished rental and he wanted to keep it furnished initially. So we put it on the market and we eventually found some renters. They only lasted a year, and then we had to find another one. So turnover was higher. Turnover is one of the biggest killers to your returns as a real estate investor. You want to be able to minimize turnover as much as possible. And if you think about that, right, who is your most stable tenant? It's a starter family that is going to be in a house for a long time. That tenant base has their own stuff, so they don't need a furnished rental. But this guy really wanted furnished. He wanted to keep his place furnished because he had moved away and he didn't want to pay anybody to sell all his stuff or move it into storage. So because he didn't plan on it being a long-term rental from the start, he has really eaten into his returns because it's been a lot harder to find a tenant over the years. So in this specific instance, the furniture didn't add value. It actually added a lot of friction to the process, and friction is the thing that eats into your returns. So now, I'm not a Debbie Downer on furnished rentals completely. It can work very well. You just need to be in the right market. You need to have the right strategy and you need to have the right plan. So In 2022 and 2023, this market was it's still good, but it was really hot back then. People were moving to North Carolina in droves. And because of that, there was so much demand for stuff. You could really rent anything out to anybody. So we had some clients that were converting Airbnbs into long-term rentals back then. We also had some that were looking for tenants in the off season to the vacation rental market. And we actually found uh, in some of those regards, we partnered with an insurance company and we've had, I don't know, maybe three or four families over the years that have come to us from an insurance company whose house burned down and the insurance company was paying for them to live somewhere until their house was rebuilt. So that worked out really well. We also were able to find 6 month tenants for one investor in the off season when the beach market wasn't really hot. And that really worked in 2022 and 2023, but that window's largely closed and those investors have sold their properties. So the best strategy to this like furnished rental thing is actually thinking about a midterm rental. And if you want to do this, just commit fully to the midterm strategy and network with traveling nurse associations and these insurance companies. And you can find very viable paths to furnished rentals. It's really, it can be good, I should say, if you're aligned. And we're going to talk about that next. So the biggest mistake in furnished rentals is you can't have it both ways. You can't have one foot in the long-term market and one foot in the furnished rental market and think they're the same thing. Your tactics really have to match your strategy. Uh, if you're in the Marine Corps or were in the Marine Corps, you might remember strategic, operational, and tactical, right? Thinking about the levels of war. And if your tactics aren't nested with your operational, which isn't nested with the national strategy, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna do well, and you're gonna lose. The same thing is true in real estate investing. The tactics of how you're finding tenants and how you're looking for your target customer has to match the operational and strategic strategy you have as an investor. In closing, furnished rentals work, but you have to be committed to them as your strategy. You can't be half in one and half in the other. If you are, you're going to have higher vacancy, you're going to have higher operational costs, and it's going to be frustrating for you. Now, at Cedar Ridge, we partner with people that have committed to the long-term rental strategy to rent out vacant units to help people in Eastern North Carolina, Wilmington, Hampstead, Holly Ridge, Sneads Ferry, Jacksonville, Swansboro. If you're one of those people and you want to partner with somebody that's learned these lessons the hard way, would love to connect with you. Cedar Ridge Management, we're a company by investors for investors, bringing you less stress and more profit every day. My name's Skylar. I really appreciate your time today. Have a great day. Give me a shout. Fill out a contact form on our website if you'd like to talk or need any investment advice. Would love to chat. God bless you guys and talk to you later.